Hello everyone and welcome back to another modelled writing video. This video we are going to look at two task 2 questions. So maybe you are familiar with the task 2 type questions. They are the ones that are the longer essay questions and you're required to write a minimum of 250 words and you have 40 minutes to do this. So that is what we're going to look at today. We have two different topics and we'll talk through the structure of how we'll answer these questions, and then we'll do the write-up as if we were in the exam itself. So this is great practice if you have booked your IELTS exam, maybe you want a bit more practice on certain types of questions or topics. Then you've come to the right place. We've got plenty of videos to help you with that. Okay, well, let's get started on the first question, and the topic is all about plastic bags. So plastic bags, the environment, that is a popular topic that definitely can come up in the IELTS exam. So one to be aware of, that's for sure. Okay, let's look at the question. In many countries, plastic bags are one of the main sources of damage to the environment, and so they should be banned. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Okay, so the first thing that I'm paying attention to is the type of question. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So this type of question, we have multiple ways in which we can answer. We can totally agree, just do A and A, agree for both paragraphs. Or we could do one agree paragraph and one disagree paragraph. That's another option. And you've probably guessed the last one. We can completely disagree. Disagree for both paragraphs there. So it is up to you. These questions, I quite like these questions really because you have a bit more flexibility with how you answer. You can decide, okay, what's the best strategy for me? Am I going to completely agree or completely disagree, or one of both? So that's how we're going to think about this question. Okay, let's look a bit more on the topic and see if we can have any ideas. So essentially, this statement is saying that plastic bags should be banned. They shouldn't be allowed in society at all. Banned is to be made, almost made illegal, really, banned. Okay, so I think when we're thinking about our plan, here we've got our two main paragraphs, and we'll just write our rough conclusions so that we stay on topic throughout. And this is an opinion question as well, so we want to really clearly state our opinion here. So I think I'm going to completely agree. They should be banned. And in the first paragraph, I'm going to talk about the damage that they cause. So damage includes they do not completely decompose. So you can never get completely eradicate them. They're in every part of the world. I know there's an island floating on the sea that is in fact not an island in the true sense of the word. It is just a mass of trash that is floating. You find them microplastics, you find them in every area of our world now. Unborn babies have microplastics. We have the deepest parts of the ocean all over the world. So the impact of them really stretches to every corner of the globe. They affect biodiversity. And if you also want to burn them, this releases harmful chemicals as well. So all different aspects, they are just destructive. Okay, so I'll talk about that in the first and link it back to the question, of course, so they should be banned. Another point or line of thought that I'm going to go down is they should be banned, even though they are cheap and malleable, which is a good word. That's why we love plastic, because it can be manipulated into whatever shape or any form that we want, really. But there are alternatives. So they should be banned because, well, actually, there are other things we can do, such as reusable bags. Oh, just to go back to the cheap and malleable point, because it's so useful, they will never stop being used if we don't ban them. Stop being used, if not banned. If not banned. There are alternatives, such as reusable bags. The countries, governments need to step in to ban them as well, because in some countries, the recycling and environmental awareness is not a top priority. So they need to be on a government level. If they're banned, then this increases awareness of this issue, rather than just campaigns. You want to be severe with it so that people really take on board the message here. Otherwise, I think it might not have an effective, it might not be so effective. Okay, so in my conclusion, and I'm going to state in the introduction as well, that I completely agree with this statement, and we will restate what we've put in the essay. Okay, so two distinct lines of thought here that completely agree with the question, the statement. Okay, so I think it's time for the write-up. You might be thinking, oh, how do I start this? Well, that's okay. We are here to show you, and we're going to start this by paraphrasing. Really important skill for IELTS. Paraphrasing means put into your own words this first sentence here. So, in many countries around the globe, plastic bags. Plastic is, we don't want to lose meaning, so we can keep this word plastic here and there. As long as we're not repeating ourselves too much, that's okay. Plastic items, such as carrier bags, are one of the contributors to negatively that negatively impact our world, and therefore, but it is argued, to start off with, that around the globe, plastic items such as carrier bags are one of the contributors carrier bags negatively impact our world, and therefore should become, say, illegal, or and therefore should not be permitted in society. I wholeheartedly, that's a nice phrase to completely agree. I wholeheartedly agree with this statement, and this essay will examine this point of view in more detail, maybe more detail. Let's read it back. So we're always reading back, editing as we go along. It is argued that around the globe, plastic items such as carrier bags negatively impact our world and therefore should not be permitted in society. I wholeheartedly agree with this statement, and this essay will examine this point of view. This essay will examine this point of this and this, and we'll examine this essay will examine this point of view in more detail. I think that's okay. So we've paraphrased and we've laid out our opinion and what we're going to do in the essay. Okay, I think then we are able now to go into our first body, which is all about the impact of plastic bags. It is, maybe we could open this up, the damage that has been done, or the destruction, maybe, destruction that has taken place and continues to wreak havoc. Wreak havoc. Spelling is really important here. And continues to wreak havoc. The destruction that's taken place and continues to wreak havoc is by plastic in its many forms. Such as bags, is evident to see is clearly evident to see. Okay, let's dive into the fact that it doesn't degrade and it's already everywhere. The damage is just going to get worse. We need to stop this before this gets even worse. This material will never degrade completely. Oh, completely. Sorry, not degrade. Decompose. Will never decompose completely. It takes 1,000 years to start the degrading process. So degrading is not the same as decomposing. And even this will not completely eradicate these items. Okay, this material will never decompose completely. Moreover, it takes 1,000 years to start the degrading process, which even this will not completely eradicate these items. Okay, so they're never going away. Therefore, humans will carry on contributing to the waste without the waste being able to and the problem keeps worsening. This leads, let's talk about trash, this ending up on every part of our planet. This leads to plastic showing up in all corners of the world, the deepest rainforests, the untouched coral reefs, maybe. Well, they're not untouched, are they? we're yes, let's change that. The expansive coral reefs and furthermore, microplastics. Oh, microplastics are infiltrating every aspect of life. This leads to plastic showing up in all corners of the world, the deepest rainforests, the expansive coral reefs, and furthermore, microplastics are infiltrating every aspect of life, humans and animals alike. There is so much rubbish in the oceans, for example, that a whole, you could say, island has been created just from floating trash that is largely plastic, based around plastic. This inevitably damages biodiversity, wildlife, and human life. Even though we've created the problem, it's still affecting us. The only way to start to make positive changes is to ban this item completely. Okay, so we're linking back to the question now. We've said how terrible plastic bags are, and we're linking back to our opinion. Okay, so let's go into the second paragraph, which is why do we use plastic in the first place? And well, actually, there are alternative sources that can be used that have the same effect. The reason why plastic is so prevalent is due to its cheap and malleable, its cheapness and malleable characteristics. However, there is a variety of alternative options that have the same desired effect. For instance, reusable bags provide have the same outcome and do not damage the environment, which begs the question, Why are plastic bags still in use? So they're redundant, as they should be redundant. There's no use for them because we've got alternatives. However, even though there's no use for them, they're still in society. So the only way to change people's opinions, so we could say, even though they are not the uses for them have diminished because we've got alternatives, they are still in operation. Therefore, governments need to step in and take action. It is the only way to change this phenomenon. Some countries do not have a recycling program even. So to ban plastic bags would allow for, we can say, an opportunity to educate, and foster a sense of responsibility to our environment using plastic bags as an example. Let's tie this back to the question now. So it is clear that forcibly removing plastic bags is the only way to no longer have their presence in society. Let's read this back and see how it sounds. The reason why plastic is so prevalent is due to its cheapness and malleable characteristics. However, there is a variety of alternative options that have the same desired effect. For instance, reusable bags have the same outcome and do not damage the environment, which begs the question, why are plastic bags still in use, as they should be redundant? Even though the uses for them have diminished, they are still in operation. Therefore, governments need to step in and take action. It is the only way to change this phenomenon. Some countries do not have a recycling program even. Let's put that. Do not even have a recycling program. So to ban plastic bags would allow for an opportunity to educate and foster a sense of responsibility to our environment. Using plastic bags, maybe we could say this can only be a positive development. It is clear that forcibly removing plastic bags is the only way to no longer have their presence in society. Okay, let's wrap this up with the conclusion. In conclusion, there are a plethora, many of reasons why plastic bags should be banned. I completely agree with this statement, and there are a plethora of reasons why plastic bags should be banned, namely for damages to the the negative impacts on nature, and also the need for governments namely the impacts on nature, and then we could state how, and also to ban this is a necessary action, and also it is clear if they are not banned, they unfortunately would still be used. Therefore, let's just be really clear, banning is essential. Okay, a bit of a longer essay today. That's all right. We've shown the structure of this, so let's double check how many words this is today. Okay, so this is quite a high word count, to be honest, 384, which is might not be achievable in the exam, but you can see the structure that we're following, and you're welcome to just take out. So for example, I would take out maybe an example here, maybe an example there, and then you would have a much more achievable essay. As long as you are following the structure, then that's the most important thing. And there is no upper limit, so in fact, you can actually write over the 250 words. And if you're a fast writer or typer, then you can go for it. Yeah, that's okay. Alrighty, so that was our first topic today. Now time for our second topic, student jobs. Okay, let's read the question. In some countries, teenagers have jobs while they are students. Do you think it is a good idea? What are the advantages and disadvantages of this? Okay, so the first thing that I'm thinking, we've got two questions here. Do you think it is a good idea? So we're asking for our opinion. And they're also asking for the advantages and disadvantages of this. Right, okay. So this is a question that might trip up students because it's a two-part question, but actually we're going to treat it as an advantages and disadvantages, just with the added opinion as well. Okay, so let's dive into this further. In some countries, teenagers have jobs while they are still students, so student jobs, if you like. Okay, so we are going to do one paragraph for advantages or disadvantages, and the other side in another paragraph, and we're going to weave in our opinion to either one of the paragraphs there. So let me show you how we can put this into a plan. Okay, so advantages, I think I've got quite a lot that I can talk about for advantages, things like transferable skills, work experience is very valuable to employers, money is useful, and networking and socializing and meeting people. So I think that's my opinion, that it is a good idea, and we're going to state that with the advantages. So let's start with the disadvantages, because I always like to put our opinion in the second paragraph. I just think it makes for a bit of a stronger essay that way. So the disadvantages of having a job, well, the main disadvantage we're going to argue is that it's time away from studies. That's the main one. And also the job, more than likely, might be irrelevant. Oh, whoops. Irrelevant to your degree or whatever you are studying. So the job might be absolutely far, completely other side of what you're studying. So it can be argued that, oh, well, this is pointless. Okay, advantages. We're going to do a bigger paragraph for this one. Employability skills are very valuable to employers. A lot of the time, Students don't follow uh, their degree in terms of what job prospects are that are specific to that degree. A lot of students just have a degree and then go on to find perhaps, well, a different type of job, maybe. So in that case, students don't always follow their field. Therefore, it's useful to have this experience. Money, of course, that helps. Cost of living crisis, university is more and more expensive. Not everyone gets grants, not everyone gets support. So money, of course. And also socializing and those kinds of skills as well. I think that's an advantage. Mixing with people that you might not get to mix with, say, on your course, different ages, from different backgrounds. That is only a positive thing as well. Okay then, so let's have it's opinion questions, so we're going to state there are a few disadvantages, however, more advantages, and then we'll restate a few from the essay. Okay, so let me just make that bigger. So that is our plan. That is what we're going to think about today. And if you're following at home, then you can think of maybe some of your own examples, but this is what we're going to go with. Alrighty, so just like the last question, we're going to start by paraphrasing this statement here. So maybe in some countries, we could say in various places, teenagers have jobs while they are still students. Young people are employed or are in work or young people work alongside studies in school or university, perhaps. Young people work alongside studies in school or university. So let's state what this essay is going to do. This essay will look at the benefits and the drawbacks to this situation and argue that the advantages outweigh the negative aspects. We could say the positives, maybe. Okay, this essay will look at the benefits and the drawbacks to this situation and argue that the positives outweigh the negative aspects. Okay, so we've paraphrased and then we have stated what we're going to do in this essay and what we're going to argue, our opinion as well, which is very important. Do you think it is a good idea? Right, okay, so let's start with the disadvantages and then we'll move into the advantages. So disadvantage number one, let's say, of course, time away from studies. The main disadvantage of obtaining work whilst being enrolled in a study program is, of course, time, the distraction of and the distraction and time spent away from learning. Education should be the main priority. However, when an individual is required to work. This leaves less time and less time to become immersed in their subjects, potentially negatively impacting their results. So this could in turn affect the outcome of this of their education. Um, um, can we find another word for education? Um, being able to, we could talk about how it is important to get your education under your belt to then go into the next stage of life. It is vital to get a certain minimum requirements in the course you are involved in, and nothing should jeopardize jeopardize oh, this, including work. Okay, so we are really, this is our main point, so we're developing this quite a lot. So the main point is that education should be a priority, and then our additional point is the job might be completely irrelevant to your degree. It is also claimed that a job is unnecessary if it does not relate to your degree or course. Let's go into an example. For example, if you work in hospitality, but are completing a degree, a science degree perhaps, or maybe physics degree, this employment may, this employment seems redundant. Okay, let's read this back and see how we feel. The main disadvantage of obtaining work whilst being enrolled in a study program is, of course, the distraction and time spent away from learning. Education should be the main priority. However, when an individual is required to work, this leaves less time to become immersed in the subject. I think I'm just going to add a nice short sentence there. I like to have a variety of sentence structures, potentially negatively impacting their results. It is vital to get certain minimum requirements in the course you're involved in, and nothing should jeopardize this, including work. It is also claimed that a job is unnecessary if it does not relate to your degree or course. For example, if you work in hospitality but are completing a physics degree, this employment seems redundant. Let's add here to progress to the next stage. Okay, I think that's strong. So we've given the disadvantages like the question's asking, but now we're going to go into the advantages and our opinion, which is important. Okay, so let's address the disadvantages first. That's quite nice. It is clear that time, work requires requires a certain amount of a student's time. We're not denying that. However, this can actually benefit the student. However, in many ways, it is maybe undeniable that the student is benefited in many ways, and they should be encouraged to work. The argument of time. Let's talk about how this can actually be an advantage, because it might make them more better at time management, and if they have less time to study, they might actually study more effectively. Is in fact a positive. They will in turn study more effectively as they and develop their time management skills. As they do not have the chance to waste this study time. Okay, so we've addressed the time. Connected with this, the skill, let's talk about the skills that they develop. Skills developed through work are transferable and are only a positive to education, such as communication and teamwork. Those are all skills that are also really important within education. One word there. Okay, let's talk about meeting different people. Through employment, young individuals also have the chance to network with various different people from all walks of life, broadening their horizons and making them a more mature student, perhaps. And then let's just end with money, as this is an obvious advantage here. A separate but very obvious advantage is the money that someone will make from working. Educational institutions are only getting more expensive. Not everyone is eligible for grants and support. Therefore, jobs might actually become a necessity. Jobs not only bring make for a more vigilant, or jobs not only develop skills but might actually become a necessity as well. Let's read this back and make sure it's okay. It is clear that work requires a certain amount of students' time. However, it is undeniable that the student is benefited in many ways and they should be encouraged to work. Let's take that out. The argument of time is in fact a positive. They will in turn study more. Let's do they will, comma, in turn, comma, study more effectively and develop their time management skills, as they do not have the chance to waste this study time. Maybe we could make this more succinct by saying they will in turn study more effectively in their limited time and develop organizational skills. And let's take that away there. There we go. Connected with this, the skills developed through work, we could say the transferable skills honed, maybe, are only a positive to education, such as communication and teamwork. Through employment, young individuals also have the chance to network with various different people from all walks of life, broadening their horizons and making them a more mature student. A separate but very obvious advantage is the money that someone will make from working. Educational institutions are not only getting more expensive, but also not everyone is eligible for grants and support. Therefore, jobs not only develop skills, but might actually become a necessity. Okay, so let's tie this all together then. As you've seen, we're editing as we're going along. In summary, initially, time spent away from education can be argued as a disadvantage. However, even so, on closer inspection, this leads to positive developments such as a more well-rounded and organized individual who is able to develop many different skills. In summary, initially, time spent away from education can be argued as a disadvantage. Even so, on closer inspection, this leads to positive developments such as a more well-rounded and organized individual who is able to develop many different skills, which are clear advantages. We're just being really obvious to the making it very, very clear here. Okay then, so let's have a look at the word counts for this essay here. So this comes to about 337 to my calculation words. So yes, again, a bit over the 250 minimum, but you can see how we've structured this one with our the side that we're not agreeing with, but we're still putting the doing what the questions ask. We're displaying the disadvantages, and then we're going into the advantages, which is what we agree with because it's asking our opinion. And we're, of course, doing our introduction and conclusion just to wrap this up. So hopefully you follow along with the structure, and that has helped you today with this topic and with this type of essay. So that's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming along, and I hope that's been useful to you. Do let us know if you have any questions. We're really happy to hear from you, and we'll see you next time.